Hello YouTube, Dave here again, back with another holiday gift guide video. Today I want to try something a little bit different. So the last couple of gift guides that I've done have all focused on a single RPG, D&D 5th edition, Pathfinder 2nd edition. I still have a Starfinder one that I'm going to be working on later this week, but I wanted to just throw something out there because this was something that I've sort of noticed in my other two videos. One of the first products that I looked at was a starter set, and starter sets are fantastic. Like I love starter sets. Like they're one of my weaknesses when it comes to RPGs. I just think they're a great way to introduce a role-playing game, and with the holidays, grabbing a starter set for someone in your gaming group or your game master, or just buying one for the group as a whole, I think is a great idea for gifts this holiday season for the gamers in your lives. You can use these starter sets as a way to introduce someone to a genre of role-playing games that they've never really tried themselves before. So it could be like maybe they've only done fantasy and you think that they may be interested in like science fiction or horror or some sort of blend of other genres. There's just some really great stuff out there. So I'm going to go through 5 starter sets in my collection that I think would make great gifts this holiday season. I'm limiting it to things that are still easily available, so things that should still be in print. I don't want to go back and look at things from older editions of other role-playing games, because honestly, there just reaches a point where, it's just way too difficult or expensive to try to, go back and, especially for like a gift for the holiday season. Most of these are, within the $20 to $30 price range. One of them is a little bit more pricey, but it is well worth that cost. Also, I've done unboxings for each of these starter sets in the past as well. So if you want to see what's contained inside, then you can check out the individual videos. There's one in particular that I'm going to show a little bit of what's inside, but overall, this is just sort of give you an idea of what's out there. Before we get into that, though, if you can think of any other, currently available in production starter sets for other role-playing games that I don't show in this video, please feel free to comment them to list them in the comment section below. I can only talk about the stuff that I own. So if, your favorite starter set is not in this video, it's not because I don't think it's a great set, it's because I don't have it and can't show something that I don't personally own. So let's just dive right in, shall we? The first thing I'm going to show is actually a starter set that I'm going to run at least a scenario of in the very beginning of 2022, and this is all for my good friend Bill from Roll Stats. This is Cyberpunk Red, the Jumpstart Kit. This is put out by Solarian or Tal Soren Games and CD Projekt Red, so the creators of Cyberpunk, was it 2077, and the Witcher series, as well as, again, I hope I'm saying this right, Tal Soren Games. Just overall, this is a really, really cool set. Cyberpunk it's a little outside of my comfort zone, I'm not going to lie. It's one of the things that I'm a little bit nervous of because I don't really know or understand technology. So some of the terminology I may not fully, understand or get. So when it comes time to roll, to run this, I'm just going to say, Mr. Roll Stats, just set your expectations a little bit low for my abilities to run this. But yeah, so this is a really cool set. This takes place in the same universe as the Cyberpunk video game, but it does take place a few decades prior to it. It comes with ready-made characters. So this is a starter set where you basically you can pick up and play. Rule book, adventure book. It comes with a set of dice here. Well, I'll show the dice. I'll show the dice from each of these sets. I'm not going to go into all the extras too much, but here we have the dice from Q Workshop, and Q Workshop does some really cool stuff. These are the dice that are included. They're a little fancy. The D6s are a little tougher to read than the D10s, but overall, it's still not that bad. Like it's cool that they actually have these licensed dice from another company instead of just relying on sort of like generic ones. So I think that's really cool. It also comes with cardboard stand-ups, and the bases for those stand-ups so that you can actually have representation of your character and enemies on maps. So it gives you like some pawns or miniatures that you can use. It's just really, really great stuff here. The retail price for this one was $29.99 US. Canadian price is, of course, going to differ. I think I paid around 40 for it here. But yeah, this is a really, really cool set, and one that not only am I looking forward to running, although I'm concerned about my ability to pull it off successfully. But yeah, I just think overall it's a really cool set and definitely worth checking out. There is the core rulebook is also available. Again, I'm just focusing on the starter sets because starter sets make for some great gifts. So this is one that is definitely worth checking out, especially if you know someone in your gaming group that's sort of big into like the cyberpunk genre, like, you know, the tech stuff, the implants, and all the stuff that sort of goes along with that. That I think this is going to be a great way to get them into this particular RPG. And I've heard a lot of great things about the game as a whole as well. So from what I understand, it's a very well designed role playing game and a very cool set as well. All right, up next we've got the Cyberpunk starter set, Treasure Hunts in Davokar. So this one, unfortunately, I do not have the price for. It is not listed on the back. This was also sent to me by Freely for making some videos with. I've done an unboxing video. I still really need to do like a review, but this is a system that I kind of want to try out first before I actually do the review. But essentially what this is, I'm just going to show like the dice set that comes with it. So it actually has a really, really nice dice that are included here. It's got like the green swirl pattern instead of just like the generic matte dice. I can get it to focus there. Just really, really amazing. Like, I love the dice that come in here. But what's also great about the system is that since I'm running all my games online these days, I'll never need to touch those dice when I go to run this, because this is a system where all of the dice rolling is done by the players. The characters, and there are pre-made characters in this set, so again, it's one of those starter sets where it's meant to just sort of, you know, distribute the character sheets and sort of pick up and play right away. But the characters make all the rolls. So for example, if someone is trying to sneak up on you, then you, instead of them rolling stealth, you just simply roll your perception. I think the skill names are a little bit different than that. However, the creature's ranks in stealth will modify your roll. So this is a system where you're looking to equal or get equal to or less than your attribute number, and whatever it is, it's modified again by the attributes of either the creature or the trap or the hazard that you're going up against. So if someone is really bad at sneaking, for example, but they're trying to be stealthy, their lack of stealth will actually increase the target number that you need to roll equal to or less than. However, if they're trained or good at stealth, then it will decrease that number. And overall, like, it's a system that I really want to try out, because I've never ran a system where the game master doesn't roll anything. So it'd be interesting to actually see how that plays out. I think it'd be kind of neat, and just sort of cuts out some of the extra dice rolling. So again, like for example, the stealth thing, instead of rolling two different things, one rolling stealth, one rolling perception, you just roll the perception and it sort of cuts things out. If you're attacking an enemy, then your attack roll is modified by like their quickness to dodge out of the way. Or if they're attacking, then you make a quickness or like a dodge roll, and it's modified by how good they are at attacking. So I think it's a cool concept for a system, and I definitely want to try it out. This is more like a dark fantasy kind of world as well, so it's one that I'm really, really interested in. And just to let you know how much I liked the idea of the starter set and how much I was intrigued by the system and the setting. I actually went and purchased the core rulebook for this not too long ago. So this is a system that I want to try out enough that I was able to go out and buy the core rulebook. I want to get the core rulebook for the Cyberpunk game, but it's just a little too expensive at this point in time for like my budget and what funds I have available to me. But it is definitely one that I want to try. But this is one that I went out and actually got the core rulebook for, and I'm actually looking at it across the table from where I'm sitting right now. So this is a really cool system. It's a really interesting world, and just beautiful artwork. Just overall, Free League does some amazing stuff, and we're not done with them in this video. But for now, we're just going to move on from the Cyberpunk, but it is definitely worth checking out. All right, up next we have Star Trek Adventures. Again, I don't think this... Actually, hold on. Does this have the... No. So this one unfortunately also does not have the retail price on there, and I can't really tell you what it is because I bought this a few years ago, and I also bought it when the store was having like a 20% off everything sale. So I honestly cannot remember how much I paid for it, but this set is amazing. This is a 2d20 system, so it's another system where you're looking to roll equal to or less than a target number. But with this one, you need to get a certain number of successes based on the difficulty of the tasks that you're doing. You always have two 20-sided dice that you can roll, but you can add up to 3 other dice through various methods. If someone is assisting you, or if a computer system is designed to make a task easier, it will add an extra die that you can use to roll. If you rolled more successes than you needed previously, you can store those extra successes as a system called momentum, and you can spend those momentum points in sort of an exponential order in order to add extra dice to your roll as well. Or instead of spending momentum, you can give a similar number of what's called threat to the game master to buy extra dice to roll. So if a die roll is very crucial and you don't have any momentum and nobody can assist you on the task, you may give threat points to the game master to get extra dice and extra chance to succeed on the task. The game master then stores that threat and can use it to either impose complications later on as you're going through something, make the task a little bit more difficult, or they can also use it to add reinforcements to combat encounters. So this set is awesome. It is ready-made characters, so it is a system, again, where you don't create characters, but you do at least have some really cool characters to go through. Your crew members, your bridge crew members of a Galaxy-class starship, which I also love because the Galaxy-class. The Galaxy-class is my second favorite class of starships, second only to the Sovereign-class. Next Generation is, like, that's my favorite Star Trek series for, like, personal nostalgic reasons. Deep Space Nine, I think, is the better series overall. But I love Next Generation. I love the ships on that show. And the Sovereign class was amazing. But we're not here to talk about that. But the starter set here, you can tell that whoever designed these rules are huge Star Trek fans. Like, this isn't just like a company pushing something out because they, bought the license because they thought they could make money off of it. This is something that you can tell that the designers genuinely love this world. They love the lore. It's just, it's amazing. Like, you can just tell how much into Star Trek these people really are. Like, this isn't just a job. This is something that they genuinely love. The adventures included in the adventure book, I'm not going to spoil too much, but I think it's amazing that they actually cover some of the more obscure things from especially Next Generation era. So what you have, the first adventure has the character or your ship coming across a derelict or receiving a distress signal from an Oberth class, because of course it's an Oberth class, that is now derelict in space. The Oberth class ship, though, was actually experimenting or using an experimental warp drive that was going to try to get around the Warp 5 limitation that was set in one of the later seasons of Star Trek The Next Generation, that was referenced a couple of times on the show, but honestly largely forgotten about because it kind of roped them into a corner if they had to get somewhere fast. So anyway, it was a decision that was made, but I love the fact that this addresses that, and it also includes an enemy type that we haven't seen since like the early seasons of The Next Generation, and it's just really cool to see some more obscure stuff included in the adventures as sort of like a major component of it. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I love it, and again, this is another system where I went out and bought the core rulebook, and this is, of all the sets that I have here, this is the starter set that I most want to run in 2022, and I will try to do whatever I can to make sure that I can finally get the opportunity to run this, because I'm a huge Trek fan, and the role-playing game is amazing, and this starter set is fantastic as well. So definitely recommend checking it out. This is put out by Modifus. You can see it, you can find it on their website, or you can inquire at your local game store. But this starter set, if you're a Star Trek fan, This is an amazing, amazing purchase, and I highly, highly recommend it. All right, up next we have the Call of Cthulhu 7th Edition Starter Set. This is, yeah, I said this about some of the other ones as well. I think all these starter sets are great, but this one is amazing. So the Call of Cthulhu starter set it's the smallest box, but it is packed with stuff. So you have a rule book that allows you to create your own characters. So there are some blank character sheets that you can use to create your own characters. There's sort of a quick there's sort of like the quick method of character generation in the rule book, but that's the method that I use personally, even when I'm running Call of Cthulhu scenarios using the core rulebook. I still love the character creation that I first learned from this starter set. I picked this up after watching an Acquisitions Incorporated video of them going through and playing a Call of Cthulhu 7th Edition scenario. And I was so intrigued by it. I went out and ordered the starter set, and then ended up getting the core rulebook, the Investigator's Handbook, and even the Pulp Cthulhu book. But yeah, there's a lot of great stuff in here. And in addition to the rulebook and the ability to create your own characters, there are pre-made characters that you can also use if you just want to get right into the action right away. But what's great about this, especially from a gift buying perspective, is that it comes with a solo adventure or scenario. I guess they don't really call them adventures in Call of Cthulhu. So you have this solo scenario that you can go through, and unlike other starter sets that have like a little solo thing that sort of gives you an idea of how to make like the base rolls for the game, gives you a couple of options and is like a page, 2-3 pages long. This is actually a pretty thick booklet. Choose your own adventure style, choices that you go through, but it gets you to make rolls for your skills, for sanity, maybe even an attack roll. It really does a fantastic job of teaching you the mechanics through the solo adventure, but it also is a pretty substantial one as well. So you can actually spend a decent amount of time going through and just replaying the scenario and trying to maybe make different choices. For example, your success or failure on certain checks can impact, what happens next. It's a really amazing thing. I've done a review. I've actually done a solo playthrough of that scenario on my channel as well, if you want to check that out. It didn't go well for me, but, again, it can be different for everybody. But yeah, it's just really amazing. And then you also get a scenario book, which is actually, again, also, very, very thick, gives you all kinds of scenarios to go through. And it's just, overall, it's a really fantastic product. Like I said, if you want to check out the unboxing video and the review video and all that stuff, you can find it on my channel. Like I said, this isn't just an amazing set overall. I can't say enough good things about it. And if you are a fan of H.P. Lovecraft, or you love the Cthulhu world or mythos, or sort of that H.P. Lovecraft universe, this is an absolutely amazing system to go through. The rules booklet is the rules booklet is so good that even when I was running scenarios using the core rulebook, I would use the rulebook from this set as a reference first. So if a question came up about the rules, I would go to the starter set rulebook first before diving into the core rulebook. It's that great. And honestly, if you wanted to, you could design your own scenarios using just the materials included in the starter set. You may have to create your own creatures, but you can design and run your own games using just the rule book and the character creation system from the starter set. So it's definitely worth checking out. Again, I love the artwork on the cover. It's just an amazing product overall, and I cannot say enough good things about it. If you're into cosmic horror at all, then this is something that I think you definitely need to check out. And finally, last but certainly not least, we have what is probably my favorite starter set of all time. And that's saying something given the amount of praise that I gave this Call of Cthulhu one that I just talked about. But the last one I'm going to show here today is the Alien role-playing game starter set. So, as big a fan of Lovecraft as I am, and I've got a ton of like collected works of Lovecraft, and I pretty much have all the stories I think that he's ever written. Um, I was a fan of the Alien franchise first. The Alien movies were the first R-rated movies that I ever watched at an age where I was way too young for it, and by today's standards, I would probably never be allowed to watch them until I was like an adult. But I love the movies, I love the world, and this role-playing game just captures the essence of the Alien universe. It's the best adaptation that I think I've ever seen. It's absolutely amazing. The stories that have been told in the RPG, in my opinion, have been better than Resurrection, Prometheus, or Covenant, like combined. The individuals responsible for creating this are also individuals that have consulted with, or sorry, the people that created this have consulted with the individual who also works with the movie studios to create a canon, like a definitive canon document, right? So the world of the Alien role-playing game will match up with the cinematic universe, and the events that have happened in the canon of this product are also what's considered to be canon in the movie series going forward. So things like Alien versus Predator, unfortunately, are not part of it. Also, Alien Resurrection technically isn't a part of the canon in the role-playing game because the RPG actually takes place just a couple of years after the events of Alien 3. But this set is, like I said, absolutely fantastic. Again, unfortunately, I do not have the retail price here. It's not printed on the back, and this was also a review copy that was sent to me. But I will say it's probably the most expensive of the starter sets that I've shown here today. But man, is it worth it. So in addition to a fantastic adventure that you're going to get included in here, that's just something unrelated, you also get some really great accessories that you could purchase separately if you wanted to, but they're included in the starter set. So this is a D6 dice pool system where you have an attribute, you have a skill. When you're rolling a skill check, you take the number that you have as ranks in that skill. You add it to the attribute number that you have. That's the number of six-sided dice that you roll. Certain things can modify that number to have you roll more or less. And basically, you're just looking for a single success on that dice pool. It sounds like it should be a really easy system to constantly succeed at everything that you do, but I've shown in my videos that that is definitely not the case. But yeah, so included in this set, you get the rule book, which again, the rule book here has almost all the same information from the core rule book, the actual hardcover rule book. Aside from some of the creature stuff with some of the setting information, and it lacks the character creation rules because the adventure included in here is what's referred to as a cinematic scenario. So there's two different methods of play for the Alien role-playing game. There is the cinematic scenario, and then there's the campaign play. Campaign play is kind of what you traditionally think of with role-playing games. So you make your character, and you go through a series of scenarios. It's sort of one of those things where you're playing in the Alien universe, but the actual xenomorph creatures are something that you may never encounter, or they're meant to be encountered sparingly and only at like the most dramatic moments in a story. Then you have the cinematic play, which is using pre-made characters. Pre-made characters with their own personal agendas, which may or may not work with the rest of the group. So you can have characters similar to Ash or Carter Burke from Alien or Aliens, where they work with the rest of the group until a certain point in the story where their own goals diverge from the rest of the group, and they kind of like there can be some like backstabbing and stuff that goes on. That kind of stuff usually happens towards like the end or the climax of the scenario. So there can be some PvP stuff, but it's not, too heavy. And it's just one of those things overall that, it's the Alien universe. Like you have to expect that somebody is not who they claim to be, because that's just the way that most of the movies have gone. But yeah, so you get a really cool adventure in here, which is sort of a callback to, it has a feel similar to the original 1979 Alien. But instead of dealing with the xenomorph, you sort of deal more with the like the bloodbursters from or body bursters from like the Alien Covenant, or like the black pathogen from Covenant and Prometheus. But I will say that the elements from Prometheus and Covenant that are used in the role-playing game are much better done than they were in those movies. The black pathogen, you sort of have a better idea of what it is. It's it's this like evolutionary accelerant. It sort of reprograms DNA to create, like, the perfect organism kind of thing. There's more to it than that, but that's sort of like the gist of it. But you have a better idea of what it is actually reading the description in the role-playing game than what you could really learn from the movie. But so you get that adventure, which is fantastic. It's great. You've got the characters to go along with it. You've got some game aid cards, including like weapons, equipment, initiative trackers, and the weapons and equipment cards are accessories that you could purchase separately if you're not getting the starter set. There's also the cards for the characters themselves and their motivations, their personal agendas. You also get the dice sets here. So with the Alien role-playing game, there are 2 sets of dice that you would need, all D6s, but you've got your black base dice here. Now, if you're not using the official dice, any D6 will do, but you want to make sure that you can distinguish between your base dice and what's called your stress dice. So a unique mechanic in this one, because it is a horror movie and the characters are, kind of fighting for their lives or dealing with situations that could potentially break someone. You accumulate ranks of stress as you encounter creatures, take damage, just find like horrific scenes, things along those lines. But the stress dice are kind of a double-edged sword because they can give you extra chances to succeed. So a success in this game is just rolling 6 on a d6. So you get to roll extra dice, which gives you extra chances to succeed. However, if you roll a 1, or the little face hugger symbol there, then you go into a potential panic. So there's a chart that you roll on. You roll a d6, you add your current level of stress, and the result sort of dictates what you do. There's like 3 basic different levels of stress. There are ones where you can still, carry out the action, and, that's fine. You're fine. You may take like a minor penalty, or you can just shake it off altogether. There's the next step up where you fail the action, but that may be it. That's just the only negative side effect. And then you have like the highest level of panic, where essentially, your character, you lose control of the character. They may like drop into the fetal position and sort of go almost comatose. They could run away screaming. Like, there's all kinds of different things that can happen, but you have to have a lot of stress to get to that point before you break. It's actually a really great system, and it's one that I had a lot of fun with when I got a chance to run the role-playing game. But another thing that I think that adds a lot of value to the set, and why it's, even if it's more expensive, it's definitely worth it, is because each of these sets of dice here, the base dice and the stress dice, you could buy those separately. Like, those can be a separate purchase that you can make from Free League store or at your local game store. And what you get is the exact same number of dice. So you get 10 of the base dice or 10 of the stress dice. You have to buy the 2 sets separately. But if you get the starter set, they're included. The full 10 set of dice is included for both. You don't get the packaging, so like if that's something that you're interested in, then you don't get the packaging. They just come in these bags, but it is so worth. It's just such value, right? And again, the initiative tracking cards and the equipment cards for like the weapons and different items. Those are also separate accessories that you could buy on your own, or they come in the starter set. And with the starter set, you also get an amazing scenario to go through that I think your group is going to have a ton of fun with. So overall, I definitely recommend this, especially if you're a fan of the Alien universe. This starter set and this role-playing game in general are just absolutely amazing. So there was my look at 5 starter sets that I think would make excellent gifts this holiday season for the gamer in your life. Either a game master that, is interested in trying a different type of role-playing game system or a different genre, or someone that is a fan of, maybe a particular property like Alien, Star Trek, or they're fans of Lovecraft, or they're fans of, like the Cyberpunk games. So yeah, these are like, 5 sets that I think would make excellent gifts this holiday season. Again, there's a ton of other RPGs out there, so if you can think of any other RPG starter sets that you think would make great gifts for the holiday season, leave those in the comment section below. Again, try to keep it limited to things that are readily available today. Not something that might be from 10, 20, 30 years ago that you have to go on eBay and pay exorbitant prices for. With the gift guides, I'm looking at something that you should be able to go to your local game store and either they have it in stock or they can order it in for you, get it in with their next shipment sort of thing. So something that's quick and easy for someone to go and pick up. But these are just the ones that I have. If there's others, like I said, let me know. And if you've actually used any of these starter sets or played through them as a player, let me know in the comments below what were some of your favorite moments that took place within those starter sets. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Hope everybody has a safe and happy holiday season. And until next time, take care.